Modern warfare is moving towards decision superiority, the ability to process battlefield data and react faster than a human ever could using autonomous AI. To achieve this speed, the Pentagon requires the frontier AI models developed in Silicon Valley, but they face a persistent obstacle. The tech engineers building these models have a long history of organizing internal protests against developing lethal weapons. In early 2026, this friction surfaced publicly when Google abruptly withdrew from a $100 million Pentagon challenge to build coordination software for drone swarms. Yet weeks later, a contradictory development emerged. Google signed a highly classified $200 million deal, granting the U.S. military unrestricted access to its most powerful AI model, Gemini. This creates the paradox of autonomy, or 自主性悖论. It raises the question of how a company can publicly refuse to build a weapon while simultaneously supplying the exact AI brain required to operate it. This contradiction exposes a structural loophole in the modern defense industry, where the distinction between writing civilian code and manufacturing a weapon has completely dissolved. To understand why Google pulled out of the drone project, we have to look at the military's goal. The Autonomous Vehicle Orchestrator program wanted commanders to control massive drone swarms using simple, spoken directives in edge environments, battlefields completely disconnected from the internet or GPS. The technical hazard here is extreme. Large language models frequently suffer from hallucinations, generating confident but completely incorrect outputs, or misinterpreting plain language prompts. In a kinetic use case, where forces are actively engaging targets, these AI hallucinations carry lethal stakes. A misunderstood voice command translates directly into friendly fire or unintended civilian casualties. Internal records revealed that this severe technical risk is what forced Google's internal ethics board to intervene, shutting down the company's participation in the drone contest. By withdrawing, Google drew a definitive boundary, asserting they will not build AI directly responsible for lethal targeting decisions. But Google defended the concurrent $200 million Gemini contract by claiming they are merely providing standard infrastructure for any lawful purpose, rather than building custom weapons. This stance contrasts sharply with Anthropic. When offered a similar contract, Anthropic refused to sign without strict, explicit guardrails preventing their models from ever being used for autonomous weapons or domestic mass surveillance. The Pentagon's response to Anthropic was swift. Defense officials labeled the American AI lab a supply chain risk, a designation usually reserved for foreign adversaries, and blacklisted them from federal systems. This highlights the flaw in Google's infrastructure defense. The military deploys these AI models on air-gapped networks, known as Impact Level 6 and 7, which are physically severed from the public internet. Because of this architecture, the moment Gemini is installed on these servers, Google loses all visibility. They cannot monitor the prompts, they cannot review the outputs, and they have zero ability to enforce ethical guardrails. Without oversight, the military is free to use Gemini as the analytical engine for their own autonomous weapon systems. Behind that air gap, the ethical distinction between providing a tool and building a weapon is rendered meaningless. The workforce inside Google recognized this reality immediately. The classified Gemini deal sparked a massive internal revolt, culminating in the formation of the DeepMind Union. After watching corporate ethics boards get bypassed for lucrative defense contracts, 98% of DeepMind's UK staff voted to unionize. They organized in a desperate attempt to reclaim a moral veto over how their own code is deployed. This is the core of the paradox of autonomy. The United States military is racing to build kinetic systems that require zero human intervention to operate. Simultaneously, the human engineers building those systems are losing their own autonomy to control how their creations are used. As the boundary between civilian AI infrastructure and classified lethal weaponry disappears, the public is left in the dark about the true nature of modern warfare. 本期内容探讨了 AI 在国家安全压力、企业社会责任与技术故障风险之间难以平衡的博弈。免责声明：本音频视频内容仅用于信息分享。